Hi, I'm Aniki Nippon, and I've been looking through the book called Secret Knowledge by David Hockney, and I've been thinking about this book, and it's absolutely amazing to me. I talked to a classically trained painter in the arts. He is classically trained, he knows how to do absolutely realistic images and so on and so forth. And up until I talked to him, I thought that David Hockney's book was pretty spot on. I was like, man, he's so right. You know, the book points to that a lot of these Renaissance artists actually did use an optical device or a lens in order to make their art look better. But there is a very big fallacy that comes with it, and it was one question in my mind that really made a difference, and that is, how many realist portraitists, or the realists that actually paint, how many of them do you see using optical devices in order to trace something? And what about back then? What kind of evidence was there back then that they used such a thing? Well, one of the things is, there is evidence that there is tracing paper, and there's also the use of glass in order to make a realistic portrait, you know, just to draw the outlines of a figure. And the other distinction I would like to make right now is, you don't have to be a great drawer, you don't have to be a great sketcher in order to become a great painter. Most people think the two are synonymous. It's not true. Look at Caravaggio. He never left a single sketch. Instead, what we have is, we have little incisions. In the last video that I did, I talk about these incisions that mark the areas where the artist would be able to visually line up with the subject. But just because of those lining up properties does not necessarily mean that he used a mirror or a lens in order to do so. And here's my first video of one of the fallacies that I found. This is page 52 and page 53. And it says, I quote, "These two pictures are the same subject, Pope with attendants. The one on the left is done in 1475 by Melozzo da Forlì. And the other one was done by Raphael between 1518 to 1519 of Pope Leo." And he's comparing these two pictures. And both of them are supposed to be quote-unquote done naturalistically. Of course, Raphael's looks better, and the other one doesn't. And the problem with this is, number one, the medium, and two, it's the kind of portrait that he's talking about. First of all, on the older image, the Melozzo da Forlì image, that was a fresco painting. If you know anything about frescoes and oils, they're going to look completely different. The frescoes are going to look more chalky. They're going to be a kind of texture, visual texture. The color just doesn't seem, it seems a little bit more dull compared to oil paint. So naturally, it's going to be a vast difference between the two. And in the point, of course, that David Hockney makes is that, well, Pope Leo X was holding a lens in the picture. He must have known that the lens projected an image and he could use that to his advantage. Well, that's not a very solid case, considering the evidence that there's not a single writing from this period that any artist of a sort really used a lens to project the image. The evidence that they do have is not during Raphael's time, but in the back, it's from a, let's see if I can find it right here. Optical projections. No, he's talking about mirrors. Here we go. Mirrors. This is from 1550, which would have been 30 years after this portrait would have been done. about a little bit over 30 years that this portrait would have been done. And it's the first reference to a camera obscura with a lens. And later on is the first, let's see, the earliest book of an artist's technique I have found that mentions projections. So it's 1568, again, many years after Raphael did this portrait. And in the same manner, David Hockney again attacks using this kind of faulty logic. He compares a fresco painting with of Michelangelo's fresco painting with let's see, Raphael's portrait of Baldassare Castiglione from about 1514 to 16. And then he's comparing it because these portraits or these pictures or images are done not too far from each other in time. But that's another fallacy. Just because they were done so close in time doesn't mean that they're going to appear the same. Again, the fallacy here is that the fresco is supposed to look almost as real or as realistic as the painting, and that's a very, very big fallacy. Again, to compare oils with frescoes is just absolutely absurd. The color's not going to come out right. I'm going to post a link to the comparison between a tempera paint and an oil paint. And it's in the Leonardo da Vinci's biographical documentary type of video. And I'm going to post that in the link below. So I just wanted to point those two fallacies that were in David Hockney's book. I found many more, and stay tuned for the other ones that I'm going to show you. But for now, that's all I have. Give me a thumbs up, and please subscribe if you really enjoy this video. Thank you.